Okay, so the question we want to answer is which is better to use, Tinkercad or SketchUp, or which is easier to learn, Tinkercad or SketchUp? And that's not really the question that you want to be asking yourself. The question you want to be asking yourself is what works for you and your students, because both of them are going to pretty much get you to the same place. SketchUp probably has more depth to it. That is, there's a lot more that you could do with it than Tinkercad, but if you're working with younger students, that's probably not an issue, and making the transition from Tinkercad to SketchUp is really not all that difficult once you understand the basics and how to think, how to ask, okay, I want to do A, and so what tools might be available for me to do that task. So let's just go ahead and look at a quick example of how both programs work using basically the same tasks. So within Tinkercad, you have all these different solids that you can go ahead and bring in. So let's go ahead and bring in a box. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit bigger and make it a little bit shorter. Then to make this geometry a little bit more complex, I'm going to go ahead and bring in a cylinder. And you can go ahead and center this up if you want by, of course, using the line tool. So we'll go ahead and just quickly align the midpoints. And then when you group them together, it makes a hole in the box. So now let's go into SketchUp for schools. So just like in Tinkercad, we're working in a three-dimensional space, except here we have a green, blue, and red axis representing the X, Y, and Z. I'll go ahead and just delete this guy for clarity, and let's go ahead and make that same project. Now, SketchUp uses points, edges, or lines, and when you connect those lines together, or edges together, they make a face. That is, if they're watertight. And so if I want to just go ahead and make a shape or box, I can just draw along the green axis, and then along the red axis, along the green axis, and down here. And when I complete that, it makes a rectangle for me. Of course, there's quicker ways to do that, so we'll undo that work there, and we'll just, again, get rid of this guy and type in R for rectangle, and there we have it. Now, to make this three-dimensional, that is to add the side faces and the top face, I use the push-pull tool, which just does an extrusion, and pull it up like so. So now we have our three-dimensional box. So if I want to put a hole in the center of this, I'm just going to go ahead and be kind of lazy here and just draw some temporary geometry across from one corner to the other of the box. And I'll type in C for circle, go to the midpoint, so that centers everything for me, and draw a circle of whatever radius I want. And then I can erase this geometry here, which is really a nice feature to be able to do. And then I will select this face, type in the push-pull tool, double click, and there's my hole. Now, I've just created both objects in about the same amount of time, and these will both 3D print exactly the same because they'll both export into an STL file just fine. But as I was talking about a little bit earlier, SketchUp can do more than this, more than Tinkercad can do. And again, it's not that one's better than the other. You're going to have to pick the program that you think is going to benefit your students the most. But I'm just trying to explain a few of the differences here. So for example, I can click this top face here, type in S for scale, and if I want, I can go ahead and scale it down like so. And that could be created in Tinkercad, but not quite as quickly as you can do in SketchUp. So if you've been using Tinkercad and want to go ahead and dip your toe into the lake that is SketchUp, what I recommend is this for you. And that is just to go ahead and go to my website, or not my website, but my YouTube channel. And there are a whole bunch of videos that I've done on SketchUp. I'm going to be supporting Tinkercad equally as well. But I would recommend maybe this one right here, building a toy locomotive with SketchUp. And this one is specifically designed for 3D printing. Now, if you want to do something a little bit more basic, you can go to a little bit older video that I have, which builds essentially the same locomotive here. This one's been up for 2 years and has over 3,000 views. So you could click on that one and essentially build the same object, and it pretty much takes you through all the different steps and assumes that you don't know anything about SketchUp. So I hope that helps just a little bit anyways, differentiate between the two. I love both programs equally as well. Both programs have their own place. So like I said, hopefully this helps, and if you have any questions, just go ahead and let me know.